Hello everyone, welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Among the major developments, Prime Minister Skerrit justifies the need for the value-added tax, hope in sight for Clico-Bico policyholders in Dominica, and a new water supply for Benz. All these stories and more when National Focus returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Come March 2013, residents of the communities of Benz, Hampstead and Asdime are set to benefit from a new and improved water supply system. A groundbreaking and contract signing ceremony on Monday, July 9, marked the commencement of the water supply project, to which the government of Dominica has committed $2.9 million. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit told the signing ceremony that his government identified this project as a priority.
We gave this project priority because we have been hearing the cries and the complaints of the people and residents of Benz, Asdime and Osolda. And this is why I said to you last week that we shall come to Benz on the 9th of July and sign the contracts for the commencement of the Benz Asdime Water Project. And today we are here in fulfillment of that commitment and that promise of the government of Dominica.
The Prime Minister said that notwithstanding the financial challenges faced, his government was able to source the finance to fund such an important project.
Every demand that is placed on the government requires resources to implement it. Nothing is free. It may be free to you, but not free to the government. The government must mobilize the resources, the money, to implement these projects. And we have been able, with the help of God, to mobilize the resources, not only for this project, but for the number of other projects that are ongoing in this country. In a time when the world, the entire world, is grappling, and has been grappling for several years, with a financial and economic crisis.
The Benz water supply project will involve the construction of a new intake and treatment facility along the Hampstead River, along with a storage tank and associated pipe works. On completion, the new water supply system is expected to meet the growing demands of the expanding community. General Manager of the WASCO, Bernard Etinoff, said his company has been aware of the problems which residents of that community have been experiencing, and in 2008 his company undertook the first phase of the development of the Benz water system, which included pipeline replacement. Etinoff says this, however, fell short as it failed to address all the critical issues in the 40-year-old water system. Etinoff is confident that this new project will seek to address the shortcomings of the water supply in the area.
This phase of the project therefore seeks to address the issues of inadequacy of water at the intake by the construction of a new intake on the Hampstead River. It also provides for a new 45,000 gallons storage tank to complement the existing 12,000 gallon tank that now exists. This takes the storage capacity in the community to 57,000 gallons. It also seeks to provide new supply and distribution lines from the intake to the storage tank and the storage tank to existing distribution. It further provides for the construction of an access road to facilitate construction of the intake, maintenance of the intake, and construction and maintenance of the new pipelines.
Minister responsible for water resource management, Honorable Reginald Austrie, says this new water supply project is in keeping with government's goal of providing quality, reliable water to communities across Dominica by the year 2015.
Our emphasis is on quality water, not just water. And so we are spending the extra $500,000 to ensure that the people of Benz, like everybody else, receives top quality water. And our dream is that by 2015, that every single Dominican will have access to top quality potable water. We are now at 95%. And we're hoping between next year and 2014, we would have met that 100%, which will be 1 year ahead of one of the Millennium Development Goals, which is making potable water affordable to everybody inside of Dominica.
Meantime, Parliamentary Representative for the Paybush constituency, Honourable Matthew Walter, said the new water supply will eliminate some of the burdens and inconveniences experienced over the years due to a lack of sufficient water supply for domestic use.
I can recall quite vividly that some of you remarked, "Boy, Matthew, I bathe like a Frenchman." I don't know what you mean by you bathe like a Frenchman, but these are the remarks that you made. "Boy, I bathe in a bucket." But I made you understand quite clearly the rationale behind that. And the government was never hesitant to implement this very important project because we all understand the value of water.
The new Bent's water supply project is expected to be constructed during a 9-month period. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, has been underscoring the importance of Dominica's 15% value-added tax as a crucial revenue earner for the government. Days before the presentation of the 2012 national budget, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, is not encouraged by suggestions from opposition circles on how the government should manage the country's economy. The Prime Minister says suggestions for the removal of the value-added tax is not sound advice at this time.
I hear today of people who say they love Dominica, people who say they care about Dominica, talking all sorts of nonsense about what the government should do or should not do in this budget coming up, and what the government should not do and should not do this year, next year. People talk about removing VAT altogether, but with no alternative suggestions. You remove VAT, then what do you replace VAT with? How is the government going to pay public officers and to help maintain goods and services, to provide the services to our people? I mean, all sorts of reckless, irrational, nonsensical advice and recommendations are being put forth to the government.
Prime Minister Skerrit says his government's decision to introduce the value-added tax, or VAT, several years ago was a necessary one. He says further that due to the global financial crisis, several countries around the world have had to increase taxes, including the VAT.
But what we have seen in other countries is that not only have they maintained the VAT legislation, they have increased the VAT. In the United Kingdom, those of you who are from here, who live there, the VAT rate in the United Kingdom is 20%. 20%. In Barbados, it has increased to 17.5%. 17.5%. I believe in St. Kitts, it is 17%. Recently, the government of Jamaica went to Parliament for its budget, and they increased taxation, and they also introduced new taxes on the people of Jamaica and visitors to Jamaica. Not because the government of Jamaica do not love their people, they have imposed taxes, but they needed revenue to address a very large fiscal gap which continues to confront Jamaica.
The VAT was officially introduced in Dominica in March of 2006 and since then has been a significant revenue earner for the government. The VAT replaced the consumption tax of 20% on most goods, the sales tax of 7.5% on all goods, the hotel occupancy tax of 5%, and the entertainment tax. The VAT was imposed at a general rate of 15%. A reduced rate of 10% was also applied to hotel accommodation. The government of Dominica has been conducting a series of community meetings to address crime, violence, and antisocial behavior in Dominica. These meetings have sought to provide a forum for community members to express their views to the government on issues affecting them and their surroundings. One such meeting took place in St. Joseph on Monday. Ian Douglas, Minister for Tourism, stated that Dominica's image has always been described as a serene one, and the intention of these meetings are to ensure it remains just that.
Because Dominica, first and foremost, has always been known as a peaceful island, for our peaceful reputation in the outside world, and we want to ensure that it remains that way, because that's one of the factors that will continue to allow persons to come to Dominica to do business, to come on a holiday, to feel free to decide on destination Dominica whenever they decide to take a holiday. And not only foreigners coming as tourists, but also our friends and family when they decide to come back home, because you know right now we have a number of reunions. St. Joe had their reunion, I believe, a year or two ago, 2008. Wow, time flies. Wow, that's so far away. It was very popular, and I'm sure that you must be thinking about other initiatives that you can do as a community, and we would not like anything, including crime and violence and deviant behavior, to affect the ability of St. Joseph and the surrounding communities to come together.
Speaking from a tourism perspective, the minister stated St. Joseph, like its environs, should consider finding ways to attract tourists to their community.
St. Joe in and of itself is not necessarily as much in the tourism industry as your neighbors, but Mero is one of the most popular places in Dominica right now as far as tourism is concerned. For the Mero beach is one of the more popular beaches in Dominica, and also too you have Layu, and Layu has been coming on board in their tourism thrust in a very nice way, and we would like St. Joseph also to think about ways in which we can introduce more and more tourists into the community of St. Joseph.
Kelvadaru, parliamentary representative for the St. Joseph constituency, says while alternative pathways have been created to keep the youth of his community occupied, there are still provisions that the youth do not take advantage of.
When it comes to sporting disciplines in this community, this is not a problem. We also have the facilities. We have 2 basketball courts. We have a playing field which is used extensively by the young men and women of this community on a daily basis. And these are some of the things that we have going for us, and I think we have to build on the positive things. I know for a fact that the Youth Division also provides several skills training programs for young people. And I believe here in St. Joseph, particularly, our young people need to take more advantage of these programs. I believe, having worked with the division myself from my experience, too many times young people from St. Joseph have not taken advantage of this skill training program. And I ask myself why. Sometimes we literally go to their doorsteps and bring the forms to them. And I think that moving forward, we have to continue to engage our young people in these areas.
Honorable Daru stated the cultivation of a healthy family life from the onset minimizes the influence of deviant behaviors.
One of the other areas I like to touch on is that of family values and family responsibility as it relates to crime and violence. We've seen the deterioration of our families all over, not only here in St. Joseph, but all over the country and in the world in general, whether it means we have single households headed by mothers, whether we've seen fathers abdicate their responsibilities, whether we've seen children no longer have that level of respect for parents. But we've seen a breakdown in the family and society. And I believe the whole idea of crime and violence, it has to go back to the roots. And we have to continue to encourage strong and healthy families in this community. That is very important. And that simply means that parents have to continue to take up their roles if they have abdicated these roles. Children also have to take up their responsibility as well. Because as children, you have to understand that you have your rights and your responsibilities. But at the same time, you have to have that level of respect for your elders.
Minister for National Security, Honorable Charles Savarin, says the issue of crime and violence is something that the Roosevelt-Skerrit administration is very concerned about. He says crime and violence does not relate to just the youth of this country. Adults play a significant role.
And we know that you, as a people, are equally concerned about incidents of crime wherever they occur in this country, or violent behavior, whether it is in schools, whether it is among the youth in the community, or whether it is among adults. Now, the question of adults, we need to lay emphasis on, because a lot of the behavior exhibited by young people is learned behavior, learned from the adults of their community. So that we, in looking at these things, must not just focus on youth and imagine that the problem is with the young people. The problem is with the community, the society. And as your PAL rep has indicated, the parents have a particular responsibility not only to correct their children, but to set a good example for them.
He says parents need to get into the mode of do as I do and be the example for their child. The National Security Minister also stated that if members of the community keep harboring perpetrators, the issue of crime and violence will never come to an end.
If the community provides encouragement, support, defense for people who commit acts of violence and antisocial behavior, we will never be able to bring this under control.
The minister stated that if someone commits a crime, they are likely to do it again, so people are charged with the responsibility of coming forward with potential information.
When a crime takes place, people know. Somebody else knows. Somebody saw. Somebody heard. Somebody suspect. Somebody was told. Now, we may want to say it's not my business, but understand this. If somebody breaks into your neighbor's house and gets away with it, he will break into your house sooner or later. If somebody attacks somebody with a knife, cutlass, a gun, and gets away with it, he will attack somebody else sooner or later. If somebody rapes and they say that rapists will rape again. So if somebody rapes or molests a young person or anybody and gets away with it, he will do it again.
We'll bring you more on this important meeting in a subsequent newscast. Fresh out of St. Lucia, where the CARICOM Heads of State meeting was recently held, the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt-Skerrit spoke to GIS News about some of the matters discussed at that assembly. Of primary concern to the leaders was the issue of the bankrupt Clico-Bico Insurance Company. The Prime Minister said that progress has been made towards keeping the company open and honoring members' claims.
As you know, some years ago, two of these companies ended up in difficulties, and there we have several citizens who have invested in British American and Clico. And the governments of the OECS in particular have took on themselves to seek to save the investments of several citizens across the region. And we embarked a couple of years ago on a very comprehensive and a very aggressive approach towards keeping Bico as a going concern, so that you do not shut it down and everybody loses everything. So far we have made tremendous progress. As I indicated, we sold and signed on the agreement last week week before last, sorry, to sell the life policies to Sagicor, where we saw 17,300 people covered under that particular sale. We have been able to keep it as a going concern, so that there is no dramatic difficulties which policyholders would face. Even with regards to the health insurance of BICO, we have been able to keep it going and have made payments to citizens who have made requests to BICO for meeting their medical needs.
Honorable Skerritt said that on the issue of members' annuities, Dominica will benefit from a fund which has been developed to reimburse member countries affected by the company's collapse.
We've always indicated that the Trinidad and Tobago in respect to BICO and Barbados in respect to CLICO will have a very important role to play in assisting the OECS in overcoming those challenges. And so at the CARICOM meeting, we had very frank and very engaging and very progressive and successful discussions in respect to BICO and CLICO. And in respect to BICO, the government of Trinidad and Tobago restated its commitment to making financial resources available to the OECS governments to address the issue of BICO, or to continue addressing the issues of BICO. And they've restated the commitment to providing us with $100 million United States dollars to assist us in that regard. They told us 36 of this will have been made available this week. $46 million will have been made available this week, with an additional $40 million will be made available from the Caribbean Development Bank, underwritten by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So that takes us to $76 million. The additional $24 million will come a little later, I suspect, from the petroleum funds or other sources within the control of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So that was very, 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 very important news. Our hope is that persons who had smaller investments in British American, say $50,000 or less, that we'll be able to pay them back the monies once we can receive that pool of resources from the Trinidad government.
Prime Minister Skerritt noted that based on the total of Dominicans' investment in the insurance company, the island's contribution to the fund may be about US $5.4 million. More from that exclusive interview in Wednesday's newscast. When we come back, we'll bring you a few upcoming events and government notices. Do stay tuned.
You're watching GIS.
Time now for the government notices. All concerned are asked to note the following hurricane shelters and shelter managers for the communities of Gomye, Portsmouth and Capuchin. Gomye, your hurricane shelter is the lower floor of the Burial Church. The shelter manager is John Sylvain and assistant manager Leroy James. In Portsmouth, your hurricane shelter is the Portsmouth Secondary School and your shelter manager is Cornelius Hunter. In Capuchin, the Capuchin Resource Center is your hurricane shelter. Emmanuel Auguste is the shelter manager and the assistant manager is George Andra. The Dominica State College announces the start of a City and Guilds Electrical Installation Diploma level course in September. The course will be held on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Bath Estate campus. Interested learners must register no later than July 31, 2012. For more information, you can call telephone numbers 440-3533 or 275-3659, or you may email continuing.education@dsc.edu.dm. You may also visit the Department of Continuing Education located at Bath Estate. And members of the public are asked to take note of the following numbers which could prove useful during the hurricane season. The Office of the Disaster Management located in Jimmet. The telephone number there is 448-8831 and the hotline is 448-7777. The Dominica Met Service office located at the Canefield Airport. The telephone number there is 449-1990. The fax number is 449-2020. The Dominica Met Service located at the Melville Hall Airport. That telephone number is 445-7878. And the fax number is 445-7849. The weather hotline is 447-5555, or you may visit the website weather.gov.dm for updated weather reports. Residents of Cochrane are invited to a community meeting on Thursday, July 12 at 5:30 p.m. at the Cochrane School building. The purpose of that meeting is to elect a new improvement committee to serve the community of Cochrane. Please make an effort to attend and to be on time. The Ministry of Education wishes to inform the general public of its collection and distribution of textbooks for the 2012-2013 school year. For students attending 5th form of the Convent High School, you are asked to collect books on Wednesday, July 11 from the JSP building in Bath Estate from 8:30 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. For students attending 5th form of the Portsmouth Secondary and the Dominica SDA Secondary School, you are asked to collect books on Thursday, July 12 from the JSP building located in Bath Estate from 8:30 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And for students attending 5th form from the Pere Charles Secondary School and the Northeast Comprehensive School, you are asked to collect books on Friday, July 13 from the JSP building located in Bath Estate from 8:30 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Please be guided accordingly. Up next is your tip of the day. Today we'll share with you a few tips on how you can save electricity in the home. Make use of daylight hours and do not turn on lights and lamps. Use one large light bulb instead of a few small ones. One 100-watt light bulb uses less energy and gives off more light than two 60-watt bulbs. Use the fluorescent light bulbs because they use 75% less energy and last longer than incandescent light bulbs. Use light bulbs that are low in wattage in areas of your house where you don't need bright light, and make sure that outdoor lighting is turned off during the day. Decide what you want from the refrigerator or freezer before you open them so you don't waste electricity by standing there looking inside and keeping the door open. And that's National Focus. As usual, we invite your suggestions and of your comments, so please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm, or you could visit our GIS Dominica page on YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. Thank you so much for watching, and do remember to join us again tomorrow.